But there's something that happens when you don't have your cell phone, when you don't have anything, and the only thing that you have is an intent of, I want to have a spiritual experience, and you will have it.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to a new episode of the Spiritual Inspired Show. I am your host, Claudiu Murgan. For older episodes, please visit our YouTube channel and spiritualinspired.ca. My guest today is Michelle Sinclair. Michelle, thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you for having me. This is great.
You are for the first time on Spiritual Inspire, so I would like to start by asking you, what was your aha moment when you realized that there is something more to life, spirituality is a thing, and maybe this mid body is not who you really are, and you start delving into more of what's out there and who we are.
Okay, well, I guess that this would go right back to the start of my life. And I actually realized this just a couple days ago. So thanks for asking this too. Was really my family was very, Christian. And so we went to church twice on Sundays when I was little. And it was like, what? Twice? Why? It wasn't that I loved being there, but I always loved the spiritual aspect of life. And when I was a really little kid, I would hear things, I would see things, and I had that sixth sense as a really little kid. So there was no doubt in my mind that there was a spiritual nature to life. Um, and I would say it was a lot later in my 30s that I, kind of had to unwind all of the beliefs that I had had and change them into something that was actually true for me. So yeah, I've really been exploring my whole entire life. I would say, and all my friends would say, I'm just a very spiritual person. And I can't help it. It's just who I am.
And a lot of my guests carried with them in their adulthood scars from their religious background. They were forced to
Mhm.
go to the church. They were shut down when they started to ask questions about the teachings, what they were hearing about from the priest. And in the end, they couldn't reconcile that life and what they were hearing with the light itself. How it
Mhm.
was for you? It was much easier than what I just mentioned.
Well, I would, say I realized in my 30s that most of the things that I had believed actually had no basis anywhere, but it had been things that I'd just been told or just things that other people believed, and I hadn't questioned it because I had this friend that started questioning me about things. She had the Jehovah's Witnesses coming to her house, so she was like, "Hey, they came out. What do you think of this?" And so I would tell her my opinion on it, and she'd say, "Okay, well, where is that in the Bible?" And I'd be like, "Okay." So I'd look. This was like really fun for me. And I'd find out that it's not even in there. And I'd be like, "Okay." And so through like these patterns, I realized I was just believing things because I'd been told them. And so when I started practicing hypnotherapy a little over 10 years ago, and through that experience, things just changed. And it was undeniable that there's past lives or that there's at least memory in our DNA that we're seeing. There's all these things that I was seeing. But I know a lot of people have told me that they'll have this, that like they've discovered the truth. They know that that stuff's not true anymore, but they still have this fear within them that what if they're wrong, they might go to hell. So I had that. And so I had a friend who did what I do. And so she did a session for me. It took 3 hours. I thought it was about 10 minutes. But it was to get rid of that fear that was within me because it will hold you back from the truth. I saw this quote the other day that says, "Nothing in nature resists evolution, only fear does that." And it's true. It will stop you from expanding in your spiritual nature like you are meant to. If you have fear within you, it will stop you from the progress that you could have. So I think many people need to have a kind of a mental overhaul, or some kind of subconscious session to help with that fear that is there because it begins in childhood. And when we question things that began in childhood, oh, it gives us this feeling because it's part of who we are, but it's not part of who we are. It's just a thought we've continued to think for however many years until we stop thinking that thought, just beliefs.
Yes, and what you just said is a testimonial to the fact that each professional needs another professional to heal
Mhm.
wounds, and we are a work in progress pretty much all our life, learning, shedding limiting beliefs or anything else that blocks our spiritual evolvement. And
Mhm.
now combining, your past with your professional activities, I know that you still draw from the Christ letters in your teachings. And how
Mhm.
do those writings translate into concrete healing protocols or client homework?
Oh, it's perfect. It's basically a guideline. If anyone has not heard of these before, the Christ letters, what this is a channeled message that came through the recorder. So this was just someone who was about 100 years old when they wrote these letters, and they channeled Christ and his true message. And so if ever, let's say you follow the Bible or this or that, and you're like, yeah, it seems like something's missing. Like what about Jesus when he was little? What really happened in the desert? How did he actually heal people? It tells you everything in there. And so through my study of that, I would go on these spiritual, I don't know what you'd call them, a spiritual retreat by myself for like several weeks out in the middle of, nowhere kind of. And upon studying these, it will begin to take, so the energy that's in this book is Christ consciousness energy. And so even you listening to it, you are having that energy come into you, and it completely changed my life. It totally set me free. It has allowed me to understand how life works, exactly how it works. Christ talked about we reap as we sow. We truly do. He talks about electromagnetism, which is reaping and sowing. So electromagnetism is, right, you send out a charge of something. So you feel a way, you think a thought, you do a thing, and it is returned back to you. Science can prove that it's real. And this is what's really happening in our lives. So when I would work with clients for healing, what I'm basing the healing on is these laws that are in this book. So I know that, let's say, if someone has a physical injury or ailment in their body, it's their body loving them and trying to give them some information like, hey, you got to heal this thing. Hey, you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. Hey, it's giving you all kinds of information. And what usually happens when we have something happen to us is we then get mad at these body parts and we're like, oh, that's stupid, whatever. Oh, I twisted this because I was doing that or whatever. And we have these excuses, these reasons why these things have happened. I see and know every single thing is spiritual, everything in this whole entire universe. So it's just telling you something spiritual. And so if I'm working with clients, we heal the underlying cause behind it. And then I take them on a journey because all the healing I do is subconscious. So we go into a soul state. And upon them seeing what I guide them to, which it's different every time, because I'll just channel it. I just, divine whatever they need to hear, let the words come out of my mouth and it'll come out. And they will choose to let it go or choose not to. Truly, truly based on their faith. And so I've had, clients who had diseases that don't have them anymore, ones who couldn't walk that can walk. There's been all kinds of things, and it's not anything that I am doing. It's the divine love in action. So it's truly me showing them that, hey, love is actually the only thing that exists. And then whatever comes out is kind of proving this and showing this to them. And then they have a choice whether they want to heal or not. And whatever choice they make is right, you
Yes,
know.
beautiful. And I want to go back to what you mentioned that from time to time you go on solo retreats. Do you see these escapes as quest visions or like the way the indigenous used to do for their teenagers, to transition to manhood? So do you see these escapes as your own vision quest? Sorry.
Definitely. Yeah, it just really gives you the time. It's like anything, any relationship that you have, right? How good is it going to be if you don't have the time to give to it? And so this is truly like dedicating yourself of, hey, Divine, I'm going to be here for the next, 3 to 6 weeks or whenever you tell me I can leave. And I'm just going to be here. And what I do in the day is study the Christ letters. I call it yoga, but it's really just my own version of moving my body however it needs to. I'll meditate, I'll write, I'll do work. Um, and it's truly amazing. And people who have not taken this opportunity, and some people might say, oh, I can't do that. You can. And if you're meant to, then just ask, like, hey, Divine, that sounds really good. I want that opportunity, and just ask for it and believe you'll get it, and you will. Um, but there's something that happens when you don't have your cell phone, when you don't have anything, and the only thing that you have is an intent of, I want to have a spiritual experience, and you will have it. Uh, and many people say, oh, I couldn't do it because you're completely alone. And it's like you really could do it, and you would get to really know yourself and who it is that you truly are, and you would come out a different person on the other side of it. Yeah.
And do you feel that these days the work you do and similar work other professionals are doing is kind of the last resort for those who couldn't get healed by allopathic medicine and regular, talk to a psychologist? Or there are some people who address their issues by coming directly to this type of professionals?
I would say, sorry, my dogs are barking like crazy here. Uh, I would say usually I'm a last resort. And they'll tell me that, like, hey, you're my last resort. And I'm like, excellent, because you could have come here first and you wouldn't have had to go to all those other people and spend all that money. But we have to learn. Uh, I would say some people do. I've had a few people who would be going through cancer treatments that have chosen to go the holistic route. And I'm on the list of people that they would come to in that, but it totally depends on the person. I know from lots of the presentations that I have given, people don't know. They don't know that this is even a thing, or this is an option. And I mean, before I did it, I didn't know it was a thing. And even while I was taking my training a million years ago, I didn't know this was a thing. I've discovered it, over the years, seeing patterns with my clients. And, let's say that you have an ailment. How does that make you feel? Like, oh, it makes me feel old. It makes me feel useless. It makes me feel, however, that's the issue. That's the underlying issue. Like, oh, it makes me frustrated. Oh, it makes me angry. That's the issue. That's why it's there. And so when we think about it, oh, this is making me angry. Well, what are we doing it? We're feeding it. We're giving it more food by being angry. And that's the reason why it was there in the first place. I look at this as we're feeding the demons. The way we truly are when we do it all the time with everything in any area of our life that we suffer. It is because we're giving them the food that they need to survive. So if it's a demon of anger, well, we get really angry that it's there. Here's your food. And and what we need to do is forgive and be thankful for these parts and these things that we have. And then the energy shifts and changes. Yeah, I know you've seen that Dr. Emoto water experiment because everybody's seen it, and if you haven't, go watch it. But our body's mostly water too. So, right, if we're, looking at our body and like, oh, and we're putting all this negative energy in it, it's truly distorting the life energy that's meant to be there. And the energy that's meant to be there is supposed to just be love and pure and whole and amazing. And if it's not, then something needs to change.
Yes, and I think the divine inspired me to put together that book, Alternative Methods of Healing. For those who don't watch podcasts or listen to podcasts, they might pick up a book, and it's much easier for them to browse it, read it, get some references and find the experts in their area that will take care of something like breath work or NLP or EMDR or anything that can help them releasing their emotions stuck in the body.
Yeah, very beneficial. And even just the information you give them, even if they don't really do too much with it, it is just the awareness of, oh, that could be it. I know, when I've given presentations, I'll have people come up or text me after and say, hey, I came with pain and I left without it. And it's like, well, because you became aware of something. I was saying that this is going on and what's happening. They're kind of listening, but they're like, oh, it's probably this. And all it takes is the recognition, the awareness of, oh, it's maybe this. And the body's like, okay, I'll ease off. You're getting it. You're hearing what I'm saying. So these shifts too and things, it can happen just like that. I know for myself, I live in Sedona, and when I first moved here, it's got a bit of an altitude. And so I was having this altitude sickness, and it was like, okay, well, we know that's not real. Everything's the spirit. And so all I did was read, what it was behind it, like what does altitude sickness mean? And by the time I was done reading it, my symptoms were gone. So awareness is the hugest part of it, I would say.
Yes, indeed. And Michelle, these days we live with two big triggers. One is a political trigger, the other one is the religious trigger. And looks like we just cannot get away from this type of interactions and discussions and debates. So for someone in a faith crisis, how do you weave spiritual language with neutral somatic techniques so the work remains accessible?
Um, Well, something has come to me over about the last week. And so everything is perspective, right? And so if we are looking at the essentially, I don't know what the right word would be, but what's the feeling that comes up when you think of the political turmoil that's really going on? Um, the feeling that everybody is getting. I've been shown very clearly what this is it's just it's demonic. and 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 so what's really happened over about the last week, something very profound came through in my meditation, and I feel completely different since this has happened. But I was shown that what we need to do is to forgive, and that there's no depth where it cannot go. And I'm talking about forgiving to the point of forgiving the demons, forgiving the devil, forgiving everything that's attached to it. Because think of this, if you were completely cut off and you were completely separated from the love of the divine, how many ways would you suffer? Every way. There's no way that you would not suffer. And so what this is these entities, this energy, this darkness, is in such great suffering, and I understand it, and I'm so compassionate towards it. If I was cut off like that too, I would do all kinds of horrible, terrible things just to feel some aliveness or to try and get that back. And so I've been shown that we truly need to forgive. And so if it's political stuff, if it's religious stuff, we need to forgive the things, the demons, the entities, the darkness that is attached to that. Because by us being like, oh, those idiots, or oh, they don't know what they're doing, we're giving the demons their food. We are doing exactly what Christ said not to do. And so as long as we continue to put out these energies that are essentially demonic, anything that's not loving consciousness, anything that is not that beautiful is the opposite of that. It's fear-based. And so it's truly forgiving all of these demons. And what I've noticed is as soon as you do that, if you were to take yourself into meditation and ask yourself, what demons do I need to forgive? Maybe there's ones of alcoholism. Maybe there's ones of criticism or judgment or whatever it is. When you go into it and you can have so much compassion for them because you understand, like, I know why you're doing this. I know why, because you're cut off, and I'm so sorry. You will immediately feel a shift within your being. It will be warm, it will be calm, and it will be replaced with peace because you're no longer feeding it. You've taken away the charge that it had before. And so I'm seeing this is the way to correct that, but it needs to be done on a mass scale. And Christ talked about forgiveness. There was no limit to it. He didn't say, oh, forgive this, but don't forgive that. He just said, forgive. And so I think once we all do that, that's going to shift the whole world. It's actually going to change the planet.
Yes, beautiful. And my intuition told me to just say, I embrace the darkness, either my own darkness or others, and bringing into the light. So I think it will
Mhm.
have the same effect.
Yeah. Yeah. It's truly, yeah, having compassion and giving love where, that thing's maybe not giving you love, right? It's giving you fear. Okay, well, I'm going to give you love because that's what I was told to do, and just give it in every situation that you can. That's why truly I believe that healing is holy rebellion. That's actually what it is when you heal yourself, because you are giving all your energy, all your life force to the spirit, to the love, to the everything. And when you're not healing, you're not doing that. You're not giving all, you're feeding more of the darkness, and it expands in this world. And so what do we want to expand? We want the love to expand.
Yes. And you mentioned a couple of techniques like Reiki and hypnosis. So when a client comes to you, do you use your intuition to decide what technique or modality are you going to use first?
Yeah, I usually just do hypnosis or EFT. I don't do Reiki. But yeah, I would just let the divine tell me what to do. I usually know if I tune in before what their issue even is and what we need to do before they ever even show up on Zoom. It's like, oh, we got to work on this. Okay, we got to do that, and he'll just tell me what needs to happen.
And something else you do, and we talk about it offline, is 5-MODMT.
Mhm.
And for those who don't know, can you please explain in few words what it's all about and how you use it and what's the efficiency of this technique?
So I 5-MeO is known as the God molecule. What this is a very beautiful molecule. It is derived from the bufo, from the toad. And what it can do is take you on this beautiful, amazing journey. And what it does is similar to other psychedelics in that it breaks you out of your existing what you think is all that's here, and it will show you the truth. And so I would say, oh, it was quite a while ago now, but one of the first experiences that I had, it brought up ancestral stuff, and it was a curse, but this happens so fast, so it's hard to really grab your experience and be like, oh, and give great detail about anything because you just don't remember. But what occurred was I became aware that there was a curse that had been placed on my family however long ago. It was like, okay, that is done. I cut it off. I let that go. And it's also a very somatic medicine. So your body might be, releasing and moving and shaking. And because I see energy, I have seen demons hop out of people, and of course, they can't do anything to us. When that happens, I'll just be like, okay, you got to get out. They'll run out. And it's a really neat process, but it can be extremely intense. And so, kind of the biggest part of it is it takes you on a journey of death. And you may even believe that you're going to die. You won't. But it is the process of being willing to let go. And through that process, you will realize how many things that you are clinging on to, that you are holding on to, that you have to let go. And as soon as you do let go, and as soon as you're like, okay, it's okay, I guess I can die, you're gone. You meet God. And you will be in this euphoric state, but what it is a divine remembrance of who you are. There's no new information that you are getting. You just know on a soul level, oh, I've been here before, right? This all makes sense. This is why that happened. I forgive this person. It was supposed to be that way. It'll make your life make sense in a certain way. But everybody has a completely different experience. If someone feels called to it, I would say it's definitely for them. And if they don't, then it's not for them.
It's amazing how Mother Nature, or let's say God, created Mother Nature in such a way that we can find not healing for our body, but healing the soul and
Yeah.
opening up to who we really are. And this information was transmitted maybe thousands upon thousands of years ago. And
Mhm.
someone remember it, that that toad in the desert has
Mhm.
a
Yeah.
secretion that can open us up to God. It's
Yeah.
unbelievable.
It's the spirit talking to us. It's the same as anything. It's the same as these plants, like the mixture of ayahuasca is, the plant said, oh, hey, take some of these roots, smash this up and mix it with some of this, it tells you what it is to do. And it is upon, these people going on their spiritual quests, their spiritual journeys, that the things start talking to them, and they really are. like they're giving them genuine information. And I believe this is always occurring, but we're just normally so clouded off that we're not open to it, that we don't hear it or we don't see it.
And what some are very critical of is the integration part, which sometimes is non-existent, but is the most important part
Mhm.
to understand what happened to you, decrypt the messages, and then apply the messages. How do
Mhm.
you address this aspect of the experience?
So, using hypnosis, taking people back into that state. And so once they go back into that, so they've had their experience, and then once they go back into this state afterwards, having them write everything down because it's really fresh when it's really fresh. And so take them into state, okay, write down what was the first thing you remembered, what was the second thing you remembered, what was it, and just keep going, 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 going until it's at least all written out because you subconscious, writing is a subconscious thing, so you're helping that process along. But I know for myself, even just with the, psilocybin journeys or things along this, you'll have information or integration that comes like 3, 4, 5 years later that you'll have a thought and it was like, oh, that's what that was about. So I think that everything happens as it's supposed to. And so we're going to get the integration that we need when we get it. And let's say somebody didn't and they had what kind of traumatic experience they were meant to, because they were meant to learn something from that. I don't know what it was because it'll be different for every single person. But I know for myself, years previous, if ever I had a so-called bad trip, by the next day you're like, oh, that's why. I see. So, things aren't bad, things aren't good. It's all just information, and it's just how we process that information.
Yes, and with the Bufo, we really have to be careful, and this is kind of a alarm call for everyone who wants to try it. Be conscious of this type of ceremony with ayahuasca. The plant grows in the jungle and chacruna, and there are people who know how to replenish the plants, the vines. But with the toad, it's a much more sensitive process. The toad has to survive the harvesting process, and be aware, work with people who know what they are doing, and don't make a habit of it. As we just
Mhm.
discussed, integrate the experience first before going and do something else.
100%. Yes, definitely. That's matters so much. And I would say to really be conscious of who you are letting hold space for you, because you will be in a completely open state. And so you will be open to everything, including their junk and including that kind of thing. And so I would never work with anybody that I was not like 100% feeling totally amazing about, because it's an intense experience, and you need to feel safe. You need to know that you're safe, and especially spiritually, knowing that you're very, very spiritually safe.
Yes. Michelle, you use daily guidance content on your mental cleanse series to coach mindset. What are the top three mental toxins you use and the antidotes?
I would say the biggest ones that I would work with, so there'd be depression, anxiety, and fear would be the top. And the antidote is, I mean, I work privately with people and I do regression therapy. So what I do is I would take their issue. So let's say it's fear. Okay, feel that feeling of fear. Ooh, where do you feel it? Ooh, you feel it. It's living in your body. So we follow that feeling back to when it began, because we all have any belief, anything, anything in our life has a birth, has an energetic birth. And whether that happened when you were 4 or in the womb or when you were 17, whatever, it began at some point. And so let's say anxiety, people, oh, I've always been anxious. They really haven't. Typically it started maybe when they were 4 or when they were 11, but they claim it and they associate it, and that's just me. It's not them at all. It's that something traumatic happened. They then begin to think differently, and so now they feel that way. So I take the feeling and we follow it back to the beginning and we just heal it. So there's a lot of inner child healing that is done. um and really it's just shifting. the perspective of what happened, because children blame themselves. Let's say parents got divorced, they're getting yelled at, they're never good enough, they this or that. They're like, oh, if I was just better. No, no, you were better. You're a little child. It's the parent that's the issue. And it's having them go back in and see this, because when people have been abused or have had something traumatic when they're little, let's say that they felt like, people don't love me. Well, what is the side effect? Well, now I don't love me because they don't. So I obviously can't, I don't deserve it. And so when you take them back and then they can see their younger self, and it's like, okay, well, what do you think of your younger self? They love them. They have so much compassion. They see, and it's like, yes, that little you, that's you now. So you really do actually love yourself. And when they can see that and experience that and give the little one compassion and give the little one a voice and understanding and everything that they need, it completely shifts the way that they feel now. So most of the time, if someone's coming to work with me, they come 1 to 3 times. This is not like you're not coming for years, you're not anything. We're going in, we're finding the root, we're resolving it. And sessions could be anywhere from an hour to 3 hours, because I'm not going to stop until it's actually complete and resolved. And it's actually a really quite simple process. And I wish that they would teach this to every practitioner so that we could have real help for people, because going and consciously sitting there and talking about your problem is creating the energy of more of that problem. And people, I don't know why I don't feel better after I go talk to so and so. Well, that's why. You just brought up the energy, you were just sitting in it, and now you're projecting it forward in your life by thinking about it, speaking about it, rather than going in and doing subconscious work that most people don't even know exists and actually healing it at the root. So you don't need coping techniques, you don't need anything. You've healed it. You don't have it anymore. It's a very beautiful way to heal. Not I'm a hypnotherapist, and not all hypnotherapists do regression work. Lots of them will just kind of do programming, which is, good and beneficial too. It's helpful. But I find as humans, we always want to know why. And, why do I feel this way? Why? When? But, and that's what gets answered when you use regression, is it's like, oh, and often people will be like, I had no idea. That's where that was coming from. No idea. And now they know, and now they don't have it anymore.
Yes, and I find that talking to someone is in a way beneficial. I look at it from a perspective of reflective mirror, because while talking, you understand what's going on, but in the end, you have to act on that particular issue and come to or go to a specialist like yourself and do psychotherapy, do hypnosis, do something that will release, as we discussed, that energy, the trauma. But
Mhm.
talking about it, you acknowledge it, and then
Mhm.
action needs to be taken.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I think it really depends. There are some amazing therapists out there that really get it and know, and they will help you through it. And then there's some other avenues that I've seen people, oh, I went to this, psychiatrist for the last 20 years, and I had more come out of one session. And it's like, well, I hear that all the time. And it's because subconscious healing, our subconscious mind controls almost everything that we do. You think that you're choosing, like, what do you feel like having for supper? Oh, you feel like having tacos? You didn't even make that decision. Your feeling made that decision, and it came from the subconscious mind. And, this is another reason why, people use hypnosis for weight loss or for smoking or things like that, right? Because they feel like they need to eat this thing. They feel like they need to smoke that thing. And this feeling is all coming from some kind of subconscious trauma. It's always from some trauma. If you feel the need to overeat, it's coming from trauma, because if you truly, truly love yourself, well, no, you don't want to do that. There's all these little things that we don't realize are all based in some type of trauma, meaning some type of belief, some type of fear, some type of thing that we think about ourselves that's not true. And I say trauma, but I just mean you didn't feel that way. Somebody said or did something and now you feel that way, and that was the trauma. It doesn't have to be somebody beating you up or somebody, doing whatever to you. It can be something that to the outside might seem insignificant, but to you, it changed the way that you thought. And that is what needs to be healed. And then when it's healed, Now you feel like yourself again.
Yes, indeed. There are so many aspects and nuances to who we really are that is very hard for us to comprehend. And sometimes we really get complacent. And if we understand the hill or the mountain we have to climb in order to reach the top and be cleansed and open and conscious, we just give up and say, you know what, I'm going to live my life. I'm going to have that glass of wine and that piece of meat and whatever. And I'm going to go to a concert and busy my mind and forget about this spiritual stuff that, bothers me from time to time.
Hmm. Yeah, if you won't rise, then life will crumble the ground beneath your feet until you do. And so we can put these things off for as long as we want, but at some point it'll need to be addressed. This makes me think of Jim Carrey, who I just absolutely love. What a wonderful man. He was talking about his dad and saying that, his dad, had all this talent and all this stuff, but he was afraid to really truly live his life and go after it. And so he stayed being, I can't remember what he was, an accountant or something like this, because it's safe. Oh, it's stable. It's so secure. But then eventually, this thing that he thought was, the comfortable thing that he needed to do, he lost that job anyways. And so sometimes we think that we're, staying comfortable by doing this thing that we don't want. It's a means to an end, it's a whatever, but the ground will crumble beneath your feet because you chose to come here for a reason. And you're not going to want to die and be like, dang it, I didn't do the thing. Now I got to come back and do it again. And so you've got it set up that if you're not doing it, things are going to fall apart around you. And it's not punishment. That is the blessing. Because if it didn't, well, you wouldn't go do the thing. That's just like, my ex-husband, he did what he did, which I thought at the time was the worst thing in the whole world. He betrayed me and this and that and all that stuff. And it's like my world is falling apart. I wanted to die for months. It was like, how am I ever going to see the other side of this? But now, and actually, quite shortly after, I had this spiritual experience and it was like, oh, that was the gift. That was the gift. Now I'm set free. Now I'm not with someone who spiritually suppresses me. I can do what it is that I need to do. But at the time, and when we're in the middle of it, sometimes we feel like there's no way that this is good, but it is. And if you remember, the universe is always conspiring for me. It's always working out for me. And if you can really feel that, even when you're in the midst of something difficult, first of all, you're going to get out of that difficulty way quicker. And you're going to learn the lesson and understand why it happened way quicker. And you've shifted from why is this happening, living in hell, to, well, this is happening for me. I don't know why, to living in heaven. And it's all just with a thought and then with the energy that you're putting into it. So, I don't even remember what the question was or what we were talking about, but
No, I think I like your the fact that you were so honest about what happened to you, and I think I'm going to make this segment a clip and post it over and over and over again for the women who are crying for themselves while
Mhm.
they are in the same situation, not understanding that the universe gave them another chance to be who
Yeah.
they supposed to be.
Yeah, 100%. And had I known that back then, and I see why I didn't know it and had to figure everything out for myself, but it sure would have alleviated a lot of suffering and a lot of woe is me and all the pain that I had to go through. But the pain was part of the process. Had it not been so extremely painful, I wouldn't have gone off on my spiritual journey. I wouldn't have done the things that I did because it had to heal. And I see that now. The healing is a holy rebellion. It truly is, because what are you doing? You are shutting down the demons. You're stopping giving them their food. And you're like, no, I only want the light. You're truly rebelling when you heal yourself. And so, if somebody feels like they don't have the time or they can't even begin or they this or they that, you are not just doing it for you. It is for humanity. So it's not selfish to heal yourself. It's the most wonderful gift that you can give to everyone in your life and everyone in this world.
Indeed, yes. And you mentioned that you are living in Sedona, a magical place. I interviewed a handful of um, beautiful souls living there. And I would like to know what it is for you to live there. What are the places you love to go and feel the energy? And if you had any out of this world experiences?
Well, Sedona's pretty cool in the way that it seems like the last several months, anytime I leave the house, something will have shifted or be different. And this is pretty common around here for people to, notice or see that. But it's almost like you're dimension hopping when you're in here. Like, oh, where did that come from? That wasn't there before. Oh, what? This is weird. But what I love about it, truly is the energy. Where I had come from before, as soon as my plane, I was leaving Sedona and I was flying back home, and the plane is, getting down closer to the city, and I could feel the heaviness of the city, and it was like just telling me, this isn't, you're not supposed to be here. You can't help out here. You need to leave and be somewhere else. And obviously, it was in Sedona where I had come from. But if you were to walk out my front door, if anyone knows Sedona, Bell Rock is right in front of my house. It's just right there. So sitting in my backyard, I got the good vibes. We go out for hikes with the dogs every night. You get the good vibes everywhere you go. What I love about this is people choose to be here. There's nobody here that doesn't want to be here. So everyone is very friendly. Um, most people are pretty open spiritually. And it's just a beautiful, wonderful, like you said, it's truly like it's like heaven. Uh, Most wonderful place that you can be. But my favorite place in town is Airport Mesa, which is a vortex by the airport, and you get a 360 view of all of Sedona. And man, if you go up there and meditate, there's a couple vortexes up there that are just amazing. And it seems like every time I go up there, I will meet someone that I was supposed to meet, that I was supposed to talk to, that's like, "Oh, I don't know why I came here, but I was told I was supposed to come here." And it's like, come here. This is why. Let's do a thing. And I find that too around town. You meet people that need to talk to you. You'll meet people all the time, whether you're out on a hike or just walking through town. You meet people that you're supposed to meet. It's very
Yes,
cool.
and at the same time, I heard the reverse story where someone lived there for a number of years, and at one point she was told, "Now it's time for you to leave. You have to move to Hawaii." So she packed and she moved to Hawaii, and she doesn't know for how many years she's going to be allowed to stay there, and what's
Mhm.
her next hop. But yes, I heard these stories as well.
Well, so I discovered what Sedona does after I'd lived here for several months. So when I very first came here, I was staying with a friend and we were working together. And so, all high vibe, wonderful stuff. We're doing, Christ things every day. It's just wonderful things. So I'm constantly putting out 100% of the time this wonderful, positive, amazing energy. And so I'm getting this back. It's like, oh, Sedona's amazing. So then, somebody moves here, and there was a feeling of frustration when they very first came. They were frustrated. And so whatever you are feeling is amplified here. So let's say that you're frustrated, you are immediately, like within minutes, going to get more things to be frustrated about back to you. So Sedona can be, not everyone stays. And the average duration is 3 months for people moving here. And I think it's because of that. If you're in a good place, oh, you're just going to get more good. But if you're, you know, feeling a certain way, it's going to be amplified for you, which is also a gift, right? So you can like, oh, I guess I need to work on that. I'm seeing that a lot. Oh, I guess I need to work on that. As long as you're aware of that's what actually is happening here in Sedona. But if anyone hasn't been here before, man, you should come. It's something.
Yes, it's on my list. It was on my list last year, but something happened and I couldn't come. But hopefully 2026 will check that box. And because again, I have some people I want to visit there as well, along with the wonderful energy places. Yes.
Yeah, well, you'll have to come. I got a spare room.
Michelle, you also host a podcast. What's the purpose and how do you see that initiative, that project evolving?
So I have a channel called The Real Healing Institute, which is where you can find me on any social media platform under The Real Healing Institute. And so my podcast is teaching about the Christ letters. It is, practical guidance, things that have just been channeled that have come through that I share. But it's really, if you're a follower of the Christ letters, it just keeps you focused on that, which You know for yourself if you fall away from your spiritual practice or you this or that, and oh, I need to get back to doing this. It's just a good way to keep you on track because it's just something that you're listening to and it helps to keep you on track. I know for myself, if I'm listening to the Christ letters regularly and I'm engaged in conversations like this, it's easy to stay on track. However, if you take a break and think, oh, I'm just gonna go do this or do that, you fall away pretty easily and then you don't feel good. And you're like, oh, why don't I feel good? Well, it's because you're not feeding the spiritual nature inside of you. So I just love doing that podcast on there. It's been a little slow here lately because I've been working on so many things here. Um, but yeah, it was daily now. I get at least a message out once a week or more.
Yes, and we both hope that by the time this episode is released, you're gonna have a new host for your podcast Auraverse network. So
Yes. Yep. Excited about that.
yes, me too. And for those listening, what will be a 5 minutes daily protocol they can use to start their day, kick off positively and go through their work day or whatever workday activities in a much different positive way?
So they could start out with well, it actually starts before you fall asleep at night. Uh, so there's a thing, self-hypnosis, and then the blueprint of the day in the next morning. So self-hypnosis is something you do 2 minutes before you fall asleep at night, and it only takes you a couple minutes. And it's something that you're telling yourself. So your subconscious mind works in pictures and images, and whatever you tell it, it believes you, right? If you're like, ah, this person is a pain in the neck, you will actually get a pain in the neck eventually if you keep saying something like this. So we're using this in a really positive way. So you would go to sleep or lay in bed, decide I'm going to fall asleep now, and then tell yourself, ah, every day in every way, I feel better and better. Every day in every way, I feel better and better. And they could say this 10 times to themselves and keep track, pressing your finger down on the mattress. Now, while you're doing this, all you're doing is envisioning the next day. So let's say you were normally tired and need a nap at 2 o'clock or something like this. Well, you would envision the clock at 2 o'clock and you would see yourself running around, not needing a nap, feeling amazing. Let's say you have this going on the next day. Well, you would see it going amazing. You just see yourself really feeling good. And your mind just accepts it. It just believes it. And the next day you're like, dang, like I feel so good. Why? Because you've programmed your mind. Now, when you wake up in the morning, if you want to add even more to that, then you could tell yourself your musts lists. And so this is something that you lay in bed before you get out of bed, tell yourself, I must, and then pick a few things that you need to do that day. So let's say it's something you don't like to do, like I must clean this closet. Okay, so pick a couple things that you got to do anyways, like I must do the dishes and I must go to work, whatever. Okay. And I must clean the closet. Now, while you tell yourself this, and you're literally just telling yourself it and then envisioning it in your mind. So I must clean the closet. See yourself cleaning the closet and enjoying it. That's it. It is literally that easy. I remember doing this for myself. So the thing I had told myself the night before was every day I'm motivated and I feel great. Every day I'm motivated and I feel great. And I was seeing myself cleaning this closet. Wake up, I must clean the closet. I didn't even have breakfast. I didn't even anything. I go down to go like grab some laundry, which happened to be in the room where I needed to clean this game closet. I had it cleaned before breakfast and I was like, oh, and feeling really good about it. So it's a way to make yourself do things that you don't necessarily want to do, but make yourself do them and actually like enjoy doing it while you're doing it. So that would be the
Yes.
tips that I would give.
Thank you. And now to go to the serious part of our discussion. If you had the chance to invite for dinner three personalities from the spiritual community, who those be?
Ooh, do they have to be alive currently or
No, no.
okay. Definitely Christ for sure. And I would say Muhammad just to be like, I just want to check out their vibes, because they were both just radiating life-giving consciousness to everyone. So I want to, see what that would be like. And then who else? Probably Alan Watts, because I love listening to him. I love his voice, but there's some things within him that I'm like, I would just really like to have a conversation with him and see what was really really going on inside of him. He intrigues me, just, how he passed at the end of his life and that kind of stuff. I'm like, I don't quite understand how that could be. So I would really like to talk to him to just like pick his brain and see where he was at.
Nice. And if you have the chance to give humanity another gift other than what you are offering right now, what would that gift be?
I think it would be the gift of the knowledge of why forgiveness is the be all and end all of everything. I would want them to know that so that they could understand that when they forgive and when they forgive the deepest depths of everything that could possibly exist here, that the planet completely shifts and changes. And I know it can be very difficult, if someone's been through something really hard and they're like, how could I forgive that? Like, how could these injustices and these horrible things are happening in the world. You believe that until you get to the point where you understand, oh, that box of darkness was also the gift, and so I guess, yeah, I would like to give them the information of forgiveness and the depths of it.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Mhm.
Beautiful. Do you have any other programs or courses or anything else you'd like to present to the audience?
I have a healing the childhood wounds course that is currently developed, and by the time this comes out, it's probably already ready. But it is very similar along the lines of the Mental Cleanse series that I have on YouTube, which is free group hypnotherapy sessions, over 40 of them, for all kinds of emotions and wounds and issues. But this one is very specific to the childhood wounds, and to have a means for you to be able to do this work on yourself in your home with yourself. Um, and and these recordings, these things that I have made also teach you then how you can then do this on your own. So just by experiencing these sessions and being like, oh, okay, I understand, you can really use it for other things and other areas for yourself as well.
Thank you. And
Mhm.
we are at the end of this lovely discussion. Any final words?
No, just thank you for having me here. I know that this was divinely aligned that we even know each other, so this is wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Michelle. All the best.
You too. Thank you.
And to my viewers, thank you for watching. Share it, leave a comment, access the links I mentioned at the beginning of the interview. And until next time, love and gratitude.